one thing that you said, and I think it's the best thing I've ever heard to describe it, is McDonald's content.
Yes, yes, yes. It's just oversaturated content that's not quite nourishing.
As a mother myself, I'm like so sad to hear that you weren't eating.
My broke's different to their broke. When you're in survival mode, you don't necessarily realize what's happening at the time and like how it's impacting us.
So if I spend money on things that are meaningless or don't add a lot of value to my life, I'm just stealing time away from myself. That hit me like a ton of bricks. How did you get there?
Realizing that this version of it is not working because we don't actually need billionaires was a tough pill to swallow. It shouldn't have to be that we're just always worried about money.
No.
Like, we should be able to live.
On Saturday night, I was on a bus going in to meet some friends, and I wasn't listening to any conversations around me. But I just overheard this part of a conversation that these two people were having. Now, they must have been about uni age, maybe just out of uni, and they were just talking about something random. And all I heard was, yeah, well, I'm not going to be able to buy a house anyway. I'm not going to be able to afford to buy a house anyway. And the girl was like, yeah, me neither. Like, it felt defeatist,
Yeah.
but it was also extremely realistic. It was like
Yeah.
they were just speaking about the fact that, like, this is their reality. Like, are they ever going to be able to earn enough to have the dream that people talk about?
Yeah. I think that's a very, like, prevalent thing now.
It
'Cause
hit
I've
my
heard
heart.
that kind of thing a lot recently as well.
But you're born and bred London. So you're very lucky that you have a place where you can, build up your wealth, but be at home and be in a safe place. Because a lot of people don't have that.
Yeah.
A lot of people that live in London aren't from London,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So they have to work multiple jobs, I'm assuming, right? People of your age don't just have one job. They're always side hustling or doing something else, right? Because you want to get up.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely tough. I feel like the game is, like, kind of rigged against you because are there enough hours in the day and do you have enough energy to even compete on both sides of your day job and then your other job and whatnot, or your side hustle? And then I think that's how people end up getting caught in the trap of, okay, my 9 to 5 is going to be my everything. Because the way 9 to 5s have gone now in the last, like, 5 years, maybe even more, is that it's like your 9 to 5 is also almost like an 8 to 8. And some people are genuinely working 8 to 8. So if I
For
think
sure.
about, like, lawyers and stuff like that,
Yeah.
you are genuinely working eight
You
to
are.
eight. But you're being compensated, I guess. Like, I'd have to speak to a lawyer. I have one friend, and he enjoys the balance. I mean, when he has time off, he goes abroad and he lives his life and whatnot.
Yeah.
But for the average person that's maybe just working retail or just an office job, NHS, great example as well. You're working like 8 to 8s. There's no energy after on your
No.
days off to even think about living a life, yet alone doing your side hustle. So you think, okay, I'm going to play the game and try and maneuver up this way. Only problem with that is there's limited spaces to do that, right? And then sometimes nepotism gets in the way. So you might be overly qualified to get that promotion. But here comes Sally, who knows Jim at the top. Who just, do you know what I mean? And it's in every industry. It's
It
always
is.
going to happen.
I've seen it. I've seen it firsthand.
Exactly.
I've seen people get internships and placements at news stations that I was, interning at. They won't even look at the portfolio of the kid. It's like, oh, but so and so, like that's your family friend. Like it happened in front of my eyes, and I was like, what is a brown, like girl with an engineer father, a nurse mother, going to do to get like a long-term placement here? I don't
Yeah.
have the connections.
Yeah.
That's why I left Sydney.
Yeah.
Because I could, well, firstly, it was like whitewashed,
Mm-hmm.
which is fine. That doesn't bother me. But it was the fact that nepotism is rife.
Yeah.
I can somehow overcome the, how I am different from everyone else. Cool. But I can't overcome nepotism.
I would like to be judged on the merit of my work.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm realizing that, okay, if this is my gift to be able to, like, connect to people, it's your gift. It's what's given to you. You need to make use of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel sorry for people that kind of just want to get their head down and be judged off the merit of the work.
Because it's not enough now.
It's not.
It's just not enough.
It's not. I gotta be an entertainer, a face. I gotta be a whole personality. Even in my current job, sometimes it's like I gotta do. Not that I gotta do anything. I like my job and whatnot, but I feel like I have to play into the social side of me more.
Yeah.
Basically, that's what's valued more, and Sometimes that's great because it means that we're getting more sales, for example, if I just like put my personality into my work. But other times, like when I'm doing the digital marketing side and if I want to focus on that, it's like, no, 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 let's put that on the back burner because we need revenue. So I want to use you in this suit here. I want to use you in this reference here or this point here, basically. And as a boss, she sees the overview of the company. So
Yeah.
you're always thinking about your team and their strengths and whatnot.
Yeah, of
and
course.
what they excel at. So if she wants to put me in that position right there, then I can't argue with it because she's thinking long term about everything
Yeah,
else.
yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? But sometimes it's like you don't want to have to do that. Not that you don't want to have to do that, but it's like you're developing something else. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's really interesting now because I think you can no longer, and I say this is like across the industries, across, the professions, you can no longer just be like a shop. You can't just be a restaurant. You can't just be a yoga teacher. You can't just be a nutritionist. You can't just be an accountant or whatever. If you don't have a social media presence, you basically have no value, right? So that's why social media now, it doesn't even really matter if your product is good. As long as the product looks good or it sounds good or you're funny and you're engaging, like you will get more.
Yeah.
Because that's the first thing people do now. It's like, I mean, I'm guilty of it, right? I'm like, oh, let me see. Now, depending on what I need it for, right? But a restaurant, I'm like, let me see what's on social media. I need to see what I'm going to order.
Yeah.
Because like, I can't just go to a restaurant now and I mean, I do it, but like you have to have a social media presence. Like I go to this guy for like Ayurvedic treatments. He's terrible at social media. I love the guy. Horrifying at social media. So he only gets a certain kind of clientele, probably older people like me who know that social media isn't everything, but he's not going to get the younger generation because they're like, if you don't have a presence, I don't know who you are.
Yes, yes, yes.
So I think that's like, it's a bit bull breaking, to be honest.
Like you said, it's like it's not enough to just be the thing now.
You can't just be a hairdresser anymore.
Yeah, like
you really can't just be a hairdresser.
But what if I don't want to be a content creator?
It's just you have no choice. It's so weird. Everything has gone in that direction. Like even hairdressers, I'll be honest. Like that is actually probably one where I do check are you my style? Like are there people that look like me? Do their haircuts look like something that I would want? Color, like it's about the visuals. We're such a visual society. And social media has just like amplified that.
Yeah, it's the new normal.
It's the new normal.
It's crazy.
So I read this, so EY last year, they released a study. It was called the Gen Z segmentation study. And they found that Gen Z have substantial anxiety and stress about jobs, long-term financial stability, and major life steps, such as buying a home and starting a family.
Yeah.
So this really rings true to the conversation I overheard about, like, those two people saying that they would never be able to buy a house. Like, they just said it in such a matter-of-fact way. It wasn't a joke. They were like, yeah, that's basically our existence. And I was thinking, that's fucked.
Yeah.
Because it's not that I didn't believe I would ever own a house. Like, you're like, but I did believe it was in my future when I was their age. I didn't know how it would happen. I didn't know when it would happen. But I just thought that was a right. That is something, I've done certain steps in my life. I will hopefully get a job that will match that trajectory and eventually it will happen for me, right? But to hear two young people who seem to be, good, bright people just feel very defeatist about it, it made me really sad for them, But I guess what this does, it says a lot about the current economy, the political state, the job market. Where are we?
It's style.
How do you feel? What do you feel?
It's I'm trying to stay positive because I noticed that if I stay positive, I attract the right opportunities and I start to see that there's more opportunities out there. But for a long time, like after graduating uni, it felt so dire. It felt like there's no hope. Like with the jobs particularly, it feels like, wow, I can't even get into anything that I want to do. There's limited opportunities. Undergrads became oversaturated by the time that I graduated.
When was that?
So that's 2018.
Okay.
I think even before then it's when it started. But I remember like even from 2010, I was like, all right, cool, I want to go uni because none of my siblings went uni. It was only my mum.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, cool, this seems like the right thing to do. None of my cousins went uni.
Wow.
At that time. Since then, I've got some younger cousins that have graduated. My sister's graduated after me as well.
Yeah.
She's older than me. But I was like one of the first people to go uni. I had some older cousins. They were really, really smart, and all three of them went to uni. They were siblings, so I kind of wanted to be like them because they were really smart, not just like book smart, but like life smart as well.
It was an aspiration for you
Yeah,
seeing
yeah,
that.
yeah.
And your mother.
Oh, of course, my mum. Like when I was growing up, my mum was finishing like her teaching degree as well. I can't remember what it's actually called.
Wow.
So I remember like being confused that she had to do work and go to work as well. But yeah, and then she was like in my primary school, but in my sister's class, doing like her placement, I guess. I remember that, and then she became like a qualified teacher soon after that.
She never stopped working.
Never stopped working. Like literally, it was like there's no one to save us. It's just me. So she installed that work effort into us, and that's what I carry through today. So it's like, even though it feels like there's dire, you need to keep going. Okay, so you can't get a job. Upskill. Find out how to improve your skills in whatever area you're trying to go in.
Yeah.
It gives you more opportunities. Do you know what I mean? And then if you are successful, you're getting barely enough to survive. And let's have it right. I think everyone's getting underpaid because
100%.
everyone's now required to do 2 or 3 jobs outside of their remit.
Yeah, that's expected now.
Exactly.
Like if you don't have a side hustle, if you're not doing... Oh, you mean within the work?
I mean within the
Yeah, the
work.
job, because there's less people. They're constantly like squeezing budgets, squeezing people. And it's almost like if you don't do it, you're like, are you working hard enough?
Yeah.
Ugh, it's really awkward for you.
There's a feeling of guilt. There's a feeling of, oh, I should be doing more.
But you were in high school,
Yeah.
right? Then you went through COVID,
Yeah.
right? So all of these things, like how did that affect your feelings about the future and your financial position?
Well, it's like leading up to COVID, you're seeing like an Amazon store being made, right? Barely any staff in there. It doesn't really need staff. So even before that, when I was working at M&S, I think that's 2019 as well, and they fell out of the FTSE 100 for the first time in their history.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember because it was a big scramble in there. It was a big thing. And I'm really starting to see, yeah, the end of retail is way sooner than we think. Like, if you don't have a plan to, like, make money outside of this,
Yeah.
you are screwed.
The high street has
Exactly.
changed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, leading into COVID and actually experiencing COVID, it's really like, there's a desperation to find a high income skill. Develop one. Like, find something. Because to just rely on your hands and feet now, it's not enough. It's not enough. And okay, there's always going to be like opportunities out there like construction and whatnot, but it's almost like you're at the slave of someone else's mercy, in a sense of, okay, our construction shift's stable. Do you want to do that? Because it can be physically taxing as well.
Yeah, it takes your body.
Exactly. That's why I respect the people that do that. I respect, like, listen, if you're in your hustle and you're making money, I respect your hustle, honestly. Especially if it's like all legal and like it's a hard earned thing. Like, I respect you. Like, you could never make me look down at a cleaner, for example.
No,
Never,
God,
ever.
that is the last person you should be looking down on.
Because who wants to do that job?
It's who wants to do it. Plus, if they don't do it, we can't function. Like,
we
you
go.
need the basics. You need health. You need hygiene. You need clean spaces.
Exactly.
What was money like for you guys? So you were raised by a single mother.
Yeah. Money, strange one, because, like, I remember, without having, like, all the information of what money is and how valuable it is, you're aware that this thing is important. And it's like, we don't have enough of it.
Yeah.
So I remember, like, my mum used to call me, and she still does sometimes. She calls me the old man or the old soul. Because I was worrying about her pockets more than I was worrying, like, more than she would worry about her own pockets.
How old were you?
When I was consciously aware of, like, money and stuff like that, I don't know, maybe, like, 7, 8, maybe even a bit before. But I remember, like, I have this vivid memory of my 9th or 10th birthday. And she was like, you can invite 5 friends and you're going to go to the cinema, right? And she was going to pay for it all. And I guess, like, my mum was just having a headache because there's, like, 5 of us and we're just, like, acting unruly. And it's so hard to decide, do you want popcorn? Do you not want popcorn? But anyway, I go out with her to get the popcorn. And I think she's just a bit tired and fed up. But I remember her saying, well, it looks like we're not gonna, no, it looks like we're gonna be eating like beans on toast for the next like month, basically. Like, and she's kind of joking around. But at the time when she used to say stuff like that,
Oh.
like, I'm like taking it serious, you know what I mean? And I remember being so worried about that kind of stuff. So, like, I felt like I part of my childhood was stripped a little bit just because we're worried about that kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Mum always made sure that we had enough to eat and like
Yeah.
it barely impacted us and whatnot. But when it comes to extras, like I remember like all my friends used to have like the new Era caps and stuff like that. They cost like 20 quid back in the day or 15. And I remember I asked for one. It's like, yo, you don't need that. You're not getting that. And if you want to get that, that's coming out of your own money, basically. So, yeah, I was worried about money for a long time. And then when that transferred into high school, she taught me about budgeting, obviously,
Your
£10 a
mother
week.
taught you about budgeting?
Yeah, of course.
That's
Like,
exceptional because I don't think that that's something that's super common.
oh, do you know?
I think it's something that parents try, and I think it's becoming more important, you know, because I think it's encouraged, because I don't think schools do a good enough job,
Oh, definitely not. No.
you know, and this is something that we really need to bring more into the fold is like financial literacy. Like, how much better as a society would we function if people just like had a good understanding about the basics of finances and how
Yeah.
to manage yourself,
Yeah.
right? Just having that confidence that, okay, no matter how much I earn, I know what to do with it. Because it actually doesn't matter if you earn a little or a lot. Because if you earn a lot of money but you don't know how to manage it, it's irrelevant.
Yep.
You'll blow it anyway. But
Yep.
if you earn a little but you're smart with it and you're kind of purposeful about how you spend your money, it would be a game changer.
I agree. Because it's like money is just a tool. And like I was saying to you off the pod, like I just view it as time now. Like if I spend more money, I have less time to actually like do nothing. Because really, what I would like to get to is to have enough money to have the time to really think about what I want to do next and really have options. That's what money means to me these days. But yeah, like I remember like even if I wanted like games and stuff like that, or if I want to go out like to the cinema on a weekend, hang out with friends or
Yeah.
whatever girls, I maybe asked my mum for some money. I didn't like asking her for money, but sometimes I would if you want to really go out and you've spent your budget. Sometimes she can give it, sometimes she can't. If she can't, and a lot of times it started getting like that, especially around the 2009 period, right? So I'm 14 around that time. Obviously, like, you know,
That's when you
you're
start
going through
wanting
the
stuff.
changes, yeah. You
Yeah.
start wanting to hang out with girls and whatever.
And dress a
Yeah,
certain
do you know
way,
what I
be
mean?
able to do certain things.
Exactly. You're seeing everyone in the area kind of
Yeah.
have money and stuff like that through whatever means. And you're like, and they're getting all the attention. And you're kind of like, well, I want to dress fly. I want to do this. I want to go out here and whatever. So I started like not eating at lunch to save my money, basically. So that's how I bought my like PS3. That's
Oh,
how I
stop,
bought
I'm
my
gonna
TV.
cry.
No, but that's like, I was so like, I felt like I had more discipline back then.
You
with
wouldn't
money.
eat lunch?
Yeah, I wouldn't eat lunch. I'll just wait until like I get home.
As a mother myself, I'm like so sad to hear that you weren't eating just because you were like, okay, I have bigger sacrifices to make for myself.
Yeah, like I don't really see it
Oh
as
my gosh. You didn't, were you hungry? How did you function?
sometimes you're hungry, but when you're young, like you can kind of just get through stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? Like if I don't eat now, it's different.
Yeah.
But up until like 21, I would sacrifice food a lot. Do you get what I mean? I realize obviously that's bad now, and I just can't do it at age 28. But yeah, if I wanted something, and it's like I know it's like a luxury, I can't really ask my mum for it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe on the off chance I might get lucky. But yeah, I couldn't really ask my mum. So that's how like I bought my PlayStation 3, my small little TV. I think it's like, I don't even know how many inches, like 15 inches. It was like £100 from Argos. So it took me like a few months to save up for all those things as well.
How long did you skip lunch for? And
I don't know. Because like grandma and granddad used to give me money for like my birthday and my Christmas. So sometimes that would boost me up. But I don't know. It was a regular thing. So if I was doing it for like, let's say I needed to get to a target, and I might be doing it for like 2 months or whatever.
oh my gosh.
And then I'll go back to eating lunch, and it's like, okay, I want something else, so I'm gonna save up again.
But that must have been really hard, like raising kids on her own, putting herself through university, doing placements to get eventually the job that would help, you know, her get to a better place. But she would have had to take on a lot of those money woes and stresses on her own,
Mm,
right? Like she probably wasn't talking to a lot of people about it, maybe her own parents or whatever, but she takes on that alone.
yeah.
And the last thing she wants to do is put it on you guys.
No, 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 not at all. She just wanted us to be kids. I think when you're in survival mode, you don't necessarily realize what's happening at the time and like how it's impacting us when you're in it. Because, like I said, when she said that thing at the cinema, it was only in hindsight that I realized it was a joke, and I think we spoke about it shortly after. But yeah, like she was definitely pretty much going through it alone. Like, we've gone through a whole generation and another generation of being
Yeah.
tied, and even though we're in the same kind of boat, we're not, because we're all trying to do something
Yeah.
with our lives and whatnot, and just try and navigate as best as we can, basically, to live a better life than how we grew up.
I totally get
Essentially.
it. And like, what were the conversations? I mean, you've mentioned that your mom made those like jokes. What made you, like, I want to figure out what made you worried as a young kid. Like, what made you conscious about money? Because if you were this like old little worried man child, like, what was the straw that broke the camel's back? Like, what happened?
I don't remember like specifically. I think it's just like overhearing conversations or realizing you can't have what everyone else out there is having. Like, you're different. So we're not just gonna buy things for the sake of buying things. But I'm outside and it's like all my friends can do this or buy this and whatever. So when I was growing up, like the odd time, like the water would just like not go hot. Like, so I can't remember if we had a meter back in the day or not. But I just remember sometimes the water just wouldn't go hot. So we
Yeah.
have to have bucket baths and whatever sometimes in the morning. When I used to stay around one of my close friends' house, he had a meter. So I remember we often had to take bucket baths around that when I was at his house, because there's two of us as kids and then there's three other people in that house. We're not the priority. The adults that make the money are the priority. So I remember like, yo, don't spend too long in there if you're gonna use the hot water. Otherwise, you gotta have a bucket bath basically. So
Oh my gosh.
having those experiences, like, it really like humbled me. But at the same time, you don't put two and two together. I think you're in it, so you're just like, oh, this is just life. Do you know what I mean?
How do you think it affected you as an adult and your
Um,
relationship with money?
it made me scared. It made me scared of not having it, and then fear like paralyzes you, because if you're scared and you're holding on, you feel like you can't do anything. You can't do anything, and then this has like a backwards effect on your mood, because you don't really end up living. And then sometimes you end up spending that money anyway that you were meant to save. So you should have just bought the initial thing that you wanted anyway, or you should have gone out or whatever. But it felt like that fear then transcended into other areas in my life where I was scared to take risks, basically. And it's taken like a lot of unlearning to get out of that. And I think it's just humbling because I'm around like so many different people in the same position. It wasn't also until high school that I'm really experiencing different people with like different levels of money, if you get what I mean.
Yeah,
as well.
different levels of wealth. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes they call themselves like broke just like me, but my broke's different to their broke.
yeah.
And it's like not a judgment or a shade or anything, but it's just interesting understanding how it works in different families and stuff like that, and
Oh, for
different
sure.
cultures and whatnot. 'Cause
For sure.
those have been like learning experiences for me and whatnot. But yeah, like growing up, because I grew up in Neasden first, and then I moved to like Wembley sides like when I was like 10 or 11. And even those are two sides of Northwest, but even noticing like the socio-economic difference was like huge for me growing up, basically. Because like in high school, it's like I feel like people were less worried about money, if you get what I mean. Like, people had contracts on phones way before I was on pay as you go. In fact, I don't think my mom never bought us a phone. I think my dad gave me a phone one time, his old phone, and then I think the other ones I bought as well.
Wow.
Bought my first BlackBerry. I remember that. I was so proud. It was like a wad of money in my hand that I saved up.
And you did it for yourself.
Yeah.
So it feels more valuable. And I think that's another thing. Is like when you have to work for something, you treasure it more. But I think a lot of us are straddling that line, which is like saving, 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 okay, no, just live for the moment. And I think it's really hard to get out of it because everyone's idea of being broke and being wealthy are completely different. Like people can feel completely wealthy when they have nothing in their bank account. People can feel completely broke when their bank account has like 5, 6 figures in it. They're like, I just don't have enough though. Like, because they're always thinking about that rainy day. So that's why you can't judge someone because we're all just a product of our experiences,
Exactly.
right? But like we've spoken about this, you have flipped your mindset
Yeah.
from that anxiety ridden, how am I going to survive? What am I going to do? Like one thing that you said, which really resonated with me, which is like time, like money is time. So if I spend money on things that are meaningless or don't add a lot of value to my life, I'm just stealing time away from myself. That hit me like a ton of bricks. How did you get there?
Many mistakes. Many mistakes. Being in the wrong places. Maybe being with the wrong people. It's a lot of just living and going through it and stuff like that. To realize what's a priority, what's worth the while, how to find the balance of, okay, we're going to go out and socialize or we're going to do this and whatever. And when it's time to be disciplined and hone in on your goals. But yeah, it's definitely like, I just didn't like the feeling sometimes. And I feel like I'm a person that really goes off feelings. I have to feel moved, whether it's better or worse.
Yeah.
I have to feel pain, unfortunately, to really not make that mistake again.
You have to live the experience
Yeah.
yourself.
Also, you start thinking about the future and it's like, well, what do I want from my life and how do I get there, sort of thing. And you don't really have the answers fully of how you're going to get there. Maybe not even what you fully want, but you start identifying what you don't want.
Yeah.
Right? But it's like, I might see like a homeless person and I'll be like, wow, like I start thinking, how did you end up in this position?
Of course. There's a
And-
story. There's always a story.
Right.
And it's not always a pleasant one.
Right? And it's mad because I feel like a lot of us are closer to that story than we think. It just
You
takes
could
a few
tipple.
bad decisions.
Oh, and it, like things that are outside of your control.
Yeah.
I mean, how many families, individuals have ended up on the streets because of redundancies, because of job cuts, because of this like, oh, the thing that I hate the most is the 0-hour contracts.
Yes.
Oh, this is like the most immoral, ethically wrong thing that has ever been created. We want you to be available all the time, but we're not going to guarantee any set amount of hours for you. You know, there was a young guy who killed himself years ago because he was on the 0-hour contract, but was expected to pay for his own petrol, to pay for his this, to pay for his that, and he got into a lot of debt. And rather than speaking to his parents about it, he killed himself.
No way.
Yeah, because he was so riddled with guilt about how he'd gotten himself in this position, but wasn't able to ask for more or demand more.
Yeah.
That it was just too overwhelming for him. And it was one of the saddest things. Like I was already very morally against like 0-hour contracts, but when I heard that, I was like, we need a change.
Yeah.
And that was years ago. Like I want to say over 10 years ago, and nothing has changed, right? I'm really happy to hear that you've overcome your anxiety about that, but it obviously took a lot of trial and error for you.
Oh yeah, for sure. I don't even know if I fully overcome it. I'm still working on it. I feel less scared though, definitely. I definitely feel less scared about lack of money because I see more opportunity now. And I think it's to do also aligns with how much work I've put in on myself, not just like personally but professionally, which has given me the options to be like, okay, I don't have to necessarily be a barista if I don't want to be a barista now. Like I have experiences, I have skills that actually could be a real input in other places essentially. So yeah, I was trying, but that story about the guy killing himself, like that's mad because like money does make you do that. Like, or the lack of money can make people just really spiral. No,
Like what a waste of a brilliant life.
Oh, for real.
You know, it breaks my heart that happened. But this, you know, as we were saying, so many people find, and I think so many people find themselves in a situation that they have no control over. People who end up in shelters, who end up on the streets, they didn't get there on their own. They didn't, because making bad decisions, it's like, it could be one unfortunate opportunity, one unfortunate event or something, and it's just, there you are. You can't pay your rent. You can't pay for food. Like how many people are going hungry because they can't feed themselves and their kids or their family? This is the reality in 2024. in a time where we have billionaires, people with amounts of money that I can't even like conceive what that amount of money will physically look like. But we have people who are struggling,
Yeah.
really, truly struggling. It makes no sense. This is where I get really overwhelmed with the concept of money and like what it does to people.
It's so interesting that you say that because the last conversation I had yesterday before I went to bed was about billionaires.
Yeah?
And my friend said, he said, and I quote, I love capitalism, but realizing that this version of it is not working because we don't actually need billionaires was a tough pill to swallow.
Well, there's a concept called the hedonic treadmill.
Okay.
So it's basically, if you think like, things are going up and down, sometimes you have less, sometimes you have more, but it doesn't matter how much money you have, you will never feel satiated.
Okay.
So like, and this I think is where you see the growth or, the existence of billionaires because there's never enough. It doesn't matter how much you have, you always want more. So you're always chasing something that is unchaseable. And unless you figure out what your cap is, and I think society drives this, right? Society, like especially now with social media, like I saw this thing and it basically said that, what did it say? 38% of Gen Zs feel the need to spend to keep up with social media. Right?
Yeah.
I think you see these perfect lives, and I say perfect, right? Because they're not. You don't know what that person has had to do to get there, what their life truly looks like, but they look perfect. They're social media influencers, they get to create content when they want, for who they want, for themselves, whatever. And they live these picture perfect lives. And if you're not living up to that standard, you're not enough. And there's this bombardment. Like I was speaking to an anthropologist and he says, even if you get on a train, a bus, it's mostly like TfL tubes, you see these signs and they're telling you like, is your money working for you? Like, are you working while you're sleeping? So it's this constant fear that you're not doing enough.
But like what was happening before COVID, it's not sustainable, man. Like I
No,
feel like
it's not.
I think it coincides and correlates with the rise in mental health issues that we've currently got. I think people are burning out. I just think being expected to do 3 jobs minimum at your one job and get paid one salary for it, that is probably, like I said, under your value of what you're doing. It's ridiculous, man. But then, hey ho, like there's always someone else around the corner that will take your spot.
What do you feel about the influence or the rise of the influencer and the effect that's had on people's ambitions?
Interesting one. I think it coincides. So, because I do marketing, I think we have this problem in life where it's like everyone sees like the sexy billboard and they're like, yeah, this is great. I want to do this. Like they see the event, they see the stage show. They forget about like the processes behind things.
Yeah.
Basically. And I feel like, not to discredit like influencers, because there are some great influencers that have an elite talent.
Yeah,
Like,
true.
It's not something that everyone can do. And I want to hold on to that point. It's not something that everyone can do. No, because it's a true thing. I don't think everyone's necessarily supposed to be in front of the camera.
Yeah.
It's not for me to say you should be and you shouldn't be, but I just think it's not for everyone to be in front of a camera.
Yeah.
I think what's happening now is that we're seeing almost like what we deem as a shortcut to success, or we're seeing an easy option of success. Oh, this person can get on TikTok and open a bunch of things from companies and get brand sponsorships.
Or just one reel.
Exactly, right?
One reel, and if you get an X amount of views, like you're there. So everyone's striving for that.
Exactly.
Putting one thing that you said, and I think it's the best thing I've ever heard to describe it, is McDonald's content.
Yes. Because that's the problem that we have, because I see it in all industries, whether it's marketing, whether it's music. I say music, it's just oversaturated content that's not quite nourishing. Do you know what I mean? There's no depth, there's no feel, there's nothing I'm getting from it, really. It's just I'm entertained for 2 hours, maybe an hour and a half. That's it. And that's the problem when you have industries and things that are oversaturated and everyone thinking that, oh yeah, I'm just going to do this. The reality is one, the content's not going to be good from everyone.
Yeah.
Number two is, if everyone wants to do this, we're not going to have people that are skilled to do other things that we actually need to have a functional society.
This is the problem. Like, I think how I related to it most is like, the doom scrolling, because it is just, you're just being regurgitated McDonald's content. It doesn't really fill your soul. It's kind of like, it's a temporary high. And then you kind of feel a bit, oh my God, why have I wasted like half an hour of my life? I could have done something a little bit more productive with it. And it's then what people then sacrifice, and you mentioned before, is your ethics, your morality, like provocative content, like as we talked about the egg hitting, hitting an egg on a child's forehead for a couple of cheap laughs.
Yeah.
Like, is that where we are in society right now? Like, just so I can maybe get famous on Insta or TikTok, I'm gonna hit an egg on my child's head and shock them.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we need a reboot.
No, we do.
That is this for me was we've reached an all-time low. Or like people, like kids and adults dying trying to like get selfies in really weird places, or what the it's not worth it.
No, honestly.
Like, your life is so valuable. You're a whole person. Someone nourished you in their body, and then you grew up and people cared about you, and then you die. And I'm not judging them. I just, like, we need to stop this.
Yeah.
And it's because people are just, they want, not an easy way, but it's like, that's attainable, and it's not attainable for everyone, right? But we're doing it because we think that we can have financial freedom, we can have freedom if we just do these like things that are a little bit edgy and a little bit provocative. But it's just McDonald's content. It's a temporary high. It doesn't do anything for the grander scale of like making this world a better place.
Exactly. The problem is the McDonald's content and not everyone being in it for the right reasons, for example, and like cracking the egg on the child's head and whatnot, like people going into other people's homes for like a laugh on social media and whatnot. Stuff like that, like just completely
trespassing.
Dumb.
That's the thing.
Just completely dumb stuff like that is not actually really of any substance. And it's the same issue we have with even big brands' marketing campaigns sometimes, where it's like, this feels cheap. It feels like you're just following a trend. There's no originality here. Do you know what I mean? It's the intention, it's the quality of what we're doing. That's the root of the problem. And I think a lot of that is down to just, people wanting financial freedom, but also we want the easy option.
You have to find your niche, be authentic to yourself. And I think that's one thing that we talked about is like when you're actually being authentic, when you're not just following a trend, when you're not following what's hot.
Exactly.
You will find it. You will find your voice. And it's about finding your tribe, finding your people. And you can't fail when you're being yourself.
Exactly.
Because when you're copying, when you're mirroring, you can only take that so far because you don't actually know what the core of that is. But if you're speaking to your core, what's within you, I mean, eventually it's going to work out.
What are you contributing to your space, whatever genre you're making? Because art is so vast, for example, especially like music is so vast. So no matter what kind of music you're making, it's going to appeal to someone.
Yeah.
So we're not being snobs when it comes to genres, because everyone's going to like something else.
Yeah, there's a vibe for there's a tribe for every vibe.
Exactly. But the problem is where you have contributors in whatever genre, whatever space, where it's like there's no, like you said, authenticity. There's no originality.
No.
You're not pushing things forward. In fact, you don't even love this. I think that's the problem that we have. So it goes back to the whole influencer generation, where it's like, I just think we're all looking for the easy option. Because I think Gen Z especially, I think my generation realized it as well. But definitely like Gen Z, it's like, we don't have to do this 9 to 5 thing.
Yeah.
Like not forever. And it's so strange because like, seeing like our grandparents or like our parents and how they rigidly just stuck to jobs. And then we're taught this is what you're supposed to do. But then growing up where the world just changed right in front of our eyes, and then we're seeing that there's so many more options now and stuff like that. It's been a crazy experience to navigate and whatnot, because I still think you need that work ethic that they had. But it's just to be successful, I think you just got to apply it to the right places.
Yeah.
And maybe the right place isn't 100% of your 9 to 5.
So, given everything, right now, what is one word that you would use to describe money in a nutshell?
Ooh, Let me actually think. What was this? Time, tool, resource. Those are the three words that just come to me straight away without really thinking.
That's cool.
Um, because realizing I can break it down as well if you want me to. So I've already kind of spoken about the time part where it's like the more money I spend, the less money I have. I mean, the more money I spend, the less time I have to kind of sit down and do nothing. Because sometimes I need to sit down and do nothing and recalibrate.
Yeah.
Because I'm like quite a creative person. But respecting the resource and tool part of it was definitely something that I realized when I was growing older. This is just something that helps you get towards your goal. Whether you're going to invest in things, it's a tool to be used. Whether you're going to use it to go out and network, you know what I mean? That's a type of investment as well. Like, this thing, don't just like spend it on like looking fly or like going out having a good time. Yeah, you should do that. It's your money. But I mean, it could be used for so much more in multiple different ways. There's times where I have to force myself to go out. Because I'm like, no, because sometimes I'd rather just be at home. Just be at home.
I get it.
But I'm realizing you never know what's going to happen when you go outside. And then life has this funny thing of like really rewarding me when I go outside. Because I don't want to go outside these days.
It shows you that it's a safe place and that you should be there.
Exactly. And you just never know what's going to happen. You never know what interesting conversation you're going to have. Just every once in a while you have a conversation with like a critical thinker. And it's really like, wow, okay. Even if I don't agree with this said critical thinker.
Oh, yeah. I get that.
It's so nice because it's like, okay, I can tell that you didn't just get your opinion off Twitter or like off like Instagram or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, you've actually thought about this yourself.
And agreeing to disagree is a beautiful...
Yeah. It's an underrated thing.
It's very powerful for yourself and for everyone. You are living your life, I'm living mine, and we just have to figure out how to work together harmoniously to like not have all this tension that we're seeing everywhere. Everywhere there's tension. And again, the reason that I want to talk about money is because I feel like money is the huge driver in a lot of the tension that we see, a lot of the problems that we see in this world. People one-upping each other, wanting more, greed, gluttony. Like, it's just like they feel like it's never enough. And you always have to take more than you're entitled to. That means when you take more than you're entitled to, you are taking that from somebody else. You know? And this is like the part that makes me so emotional about money. Because it creates this very superficial, uneven playing field. We are all the same. Okay? To our core. It is just the genetic lottery of where we ended up that gives us that leg up. And then experience that you have, either from your own experience or somebody putting that on you or life. I could go on about this. Makes me really sad. Like, I'm not here because I'm brilliant. No, I got a leg up in certain things, or I had certain, experiences. My parents went through things. Their parents they made sacrifices.
I grew up in fear. And it's really annoying now, like, having to unlearn that fear. But yeah, no, I'm just happy with where I am and the progress that I made as well. And I hope I keep like continuing to move forward. Because I even the fact that I come across like so ahead of my time to you is like crazy, because it's like I'm still making mistakes now. Do you know what I mean? I'm still learning how to be better with money or where to invest it, or like, do you know what I mean? But it's just a process, I guess.
But we're constantly evolving.
Yeah.
Like, the financial decisions I make today are not the ones I would have made 5 years ago or 5 years prior to that, right? You're evolving. And I think we just need to be, as you said, kind to ourselves about, like, we make the best decisions that we can in that moment with the information that we have.
Yeah.
Like, I look back at some of the opportunities I've had, I'm like, why did I not go for it? But then I have to remember, I made that decision because that's what was right. I can't go back and be like, future me can't go into a time machine to, old me and be like, but CJ, if you do this thing, you're going to end up here. Because I'd be like, what the fuck do you know? Who are you? What are you doing here?
No, for sure.
Like, I'm living my life right now. Can you just like leave me alone and let me do it? Like, I think more about the future now than I ever have done. But that's an age thing, I do feel.
Yeah.
That's like a living through life. As you said, you have to experience it to be like, okay, I need to, like, I'm not going to keep a whole bunch of money in my bank account and live frugally, because that's not how I like to live my life. I love eating. I love eating with my friends. I love eating with my family. I love, living life. Because if I go out there and I get hit by a bus today, at least I can feel like I've lived for myself
Yeah.
and for my family, and we've had good memories. Because at the end of the day, that's all you are. You are a memory. When we go, we die. The only way we live on is through the memories of other people and the experiences and the energy that we've put out to the
It's so
universe. Like,
true.
we are energy beings. I truly see this. It's like when you put that like positive energy out, that's what comes back. And like the more positive energy that we can bring into this world, God knows we need it.
Yeah, no facts.
We're so angry. We're so tense. We're so anxious. It's like an apathy. You know, it's like an anxiety. But any way that we can make the world a slightly better place than how we found it, like even just little changes, smiling at someone,
Yeah, that's true.
you know, paying a nice compliment about something, or just like gratitude, express, like living, breathing, and expressing gratitude. Such a huge, it's a game changer.
No, for real.
Like I was hanging out with a friend yesterday, and his parents happened to be in town, and I said to him afterwards, like, your parents, like, I don't even have to have a conversation with them specifically about it. I can tell that they live and breathe gratitude. You can see it, and it just vibrates off them as people, and it's so beautiful. And I want that. I want to have that, like, oh, I'm so grateful to be alive. I have it. I already live it. Like, I'm extremely grateful. Of course we can have more, because you're always like, yeah, but I don't have this, but I don't have that. No, you do.
Yeah.
And I know you might not have the other things, but like, if you're grateful for what you have, you automatically are going to have a brighter day.
I think that's where like the shift in my life really happened, and where I started like having a good life, like being really like grateful for what I do have, and realizing that everything I need I actually already have.
Oh.
And if I don't have it, I'm gonna develop it anyway. But like the foundational things that I need to have the life that I want to live, it's already there. In fact, I was kind of already living it.
Yeah.
80% of this thing is just you getting in your own way. It's so scary and it sounds cliche, but when you actually realize that, it's like, wow, I'm the one who's causing my suffering. I'm the one who's blocking my blessings. You just start to have a whole shift on like how you view life and whatnot as well. It's a choice at the end of the day. But, you know, throughout all of these like obstacles and whatnot, like, as long as you just remember like you're in control of what you're in control of, and you just live your life, because like you said, it shouldn't have to be that we're just always worried about money.
No.
Like, we should be able to live. And my mum said it to me during lockdown, and I never forgot it. So it's funny that you bring it up as well. Like, all people remember is like how you made them feel. You know, I've made so many people angry.
Aww.
No, but like,
You're not alone.
it's I'm, you know, destructive sometimes, especially in my youth. You know, I've hurt some family, I've hurt some friends. I think I've hurt some friends. They, you know, sometimes when you're younger, people don't say things, but
Yeah.
you just, in hindsight, you realize, oh, maybe this is why this person acted that way and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And, you know, like, I'm happy that I kind of see it now, and certain things I've kind of fixed up. Other things I will eventually fix up. I have faith that we'll patch it up and stuff like that. Health is currency as well. If I'm worried about my health where I can't complete, like, my physical is not in the best condition, it's going to impact every area.
Yeah, because then you can't work. Or
Exactly.
that will diminish how long you can work.
Exactly.
So you're spending money. So you're working to make money, but then you have to spend it to cope with the job that's making you the money. But then that might actually not allow you to make money. The system is really messed up, dude.
rigged.
It's so
It's rigged.
bad. What are we doing?
It's rigged.
Look, I think we haven't figured it out, but it's good to talk about it.
Honestly.
And listen.
Honestly, I lost a lot of patience at one point in my life, but it's really good to listen, because you just never know what somebody's going to bring to your life,
Yeah, I agree. It's been a pleasure.
as always.